and welcome to the Natural Resources Preservation Advisory Board special meeting on January 29, 2025 at 11 o'clock. Kindly silence your cell phones, please. Kind reminder. Mrs. DeHart, can you please do the roll call?
Member Newman. Member Villegas. Member Bloomberg.
Here. Hard to understand.
Oh, no. Am I not? Sorry, I'm not loud enough. Member Schreiber.
Here.
Chairperson Nessel.
Here.
Thank you.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We come to 4, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Is there a second? All in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed say no. Thank you. Agenda item 5, public comments. Public comments are now open. Each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Are there any public comments? I don't see anybody in the audience. Any of the members like to do a public comment?
No, I do the beach cleaning as several of us do.
Hit your button.
Right, sorry. I do the beach cleaning. I'm David Newman, and I enjoy it. And also, it's kind of a useful thing to do. But I've noticed that there are very few garbage cans along the beach. There are in a few condos, but I'm on the north part of the beach, in front of townhouses of Highland Beach. And we have a trash can, but no bucketry. So I've borrowed some buckets from other bucket trees and I put them there and people use them. And sometimes we put plastic bags next to our garbage can. But as I go to the north, there's very few. First are the mansions, and then there's a bunch of condos and whatnot. And there's no place to leave the trash. So sometimes I get a big bag of garbage, and it's not enough. It's just a big bag, and I have to carry it all the way back to our place when in fact there should be a place in that group of small houses or apartments over there. And so the last time I had a huge lid, I just put it on their chair. I'm sure they took care of it, but I mean, you'd think that someone over there could come up with the idea. So I'm just wondering if we could get involved in contacting the condos, the management, whatever, and see if they would be amenable to a garbage can and or a bucket tree.
So I think it's been an old problem and maybe we should put it on the agenda because it's a separate discussion as an agenda item for the coming meeting, if that's a possibility. So basically that we would reach out again to all the condos and whether they would allow garbage cans. We've actually done that already 2 years ago, but we could take another initiative of cold calling them and maybe put this as an agenda item for the next Nature Preservation Advisory meeting. Yeah, that sounds great.
Do we need to vote on it or that's just?
No, I don't think so.
It'll come
Right?
back at the next meeting.
Next meeting, okay.
That would be great if we can add that as an agenda item.
I have another. Am I pushing the?
It has to, the green light. Yes, now it's on. Green light has to be on.
Okay.
Yep. No, it has to be on. Press again. Yeah, now it's good. Now it's good.
Now, do I have to hold it?
No,
Okay. And the other item is the tractors on the beach. They're just making a mess of the beach. There's no seaweed right now. So what are they doing? Just leaving big tracks on the beach. I mean, I don't know if they're accomplishing anything other than just to redo their tracks from the previous day. I mean, which isn't really accomplishing anything useful. It's actually a negative thing. So is there any way that we could contact them or have them come to a meeting and then we could maybe get some whips and stuff and flog?
So I would suggest we discuss this when we actually discuss the agenda item, because one of my comments was on that and because it was discussed on that meeting. So I think we could discuss that subject because it was raised in the meeting that we're going to discuss
Okay.
in the in the dune restoration meeting that we had here in the library. So we could discuss it there if that's okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds
Thank you.
great. Very good. So then we have no more public comments. That's great. So we can come to the agenda item number 6, which is the very reason for this special meeting, is a discussion on past dune restoration management events and outreach. In particularly, I think the plan was to talk about the November 12th event. Basically the event which was called Beachfront Property Owners, which was basically this letter where the beachfront property owners were addressed. And when we had this company come, the Aptim Environmental and Infrastructure LLC, to present. So I think it's good to discuss how this meeting went and take takeaways and learnings and action items for our advisory board. And then also we can talk about the dune restoration table we had on the December 5 Mingle Jingle event and takeaways and learnings from there. And then talk in general about dune restoration events, because this is what this meeting is all about. That's the only agenda item today. So, yes, so shall I just start the discussion by asking who was present and what were your learnings from the November 12 event, so the beachfront property owner event with Aptim Consulting?
I did attend.
Yes, I attended too. Yeah.
I didn't make it.
Yeah. My reaction was it was very effective. His presentation was educational and his photographs I thought were educational. Several residents were there. I'd say probably 5 or 6 who engaged on the topic, who are concerned about their beachfront and what can they do, what kind of plants can they put in, that type of thing. And they had I think there was a vendor there they could talk to if they wanted to about some of the projects that he had done on Highland Beach. So I actually thought it was very good, and a session that was more educational. We did educate people at Mingle Jingle, but it wasn't in the depth that we got at that meeting. And even if it's only 5 or 6 residents, I actually think it's probably, I don't know what we have to do to get him to come back and do it again in season, but whether that's a cost, but I think it's worthwhile personally, just because of the way you can interact and talk to people about the steps you can take.
Yes, I fully agree. I thought it was a great event, and I certainly learned a lot. So my key learnings from Douglas Mann, the presenter, was actually that not all Scaevola is bad. So that there is actually native Scaevola and non-native, and the exotic one is the Takada, the Scaevola Takada. They look very, very similar. So I personally cannot distinguish them. The ones we have on our property, they're non-native and they're exotic, and we had to remove them, and they actually came back, even though we removed the roots. So they're really tough ones. But that's good to know that there are some native ones which are called Scaevola plumieri. That was an interesting learning. The other interesting takeaway, if you walk on the beach, most property actually have sea grapes, including our own, which are native to Florida, which I didn't know. I thought they're non-native. They actually are native to Florida, but they come from the northern Florida part where it's colder weather, and they grow awfully well in Palm Beach County because it's too mild and too warm here. And that's why developers in the 70s and 80s used them, because it's just a quick fix to sell and make it look great. And he recommended them for hedges and further back, but not near the ocean. They also don't tolerate salt spray well. And that's a learning, because our sea grapes always half of the year look not great. They're not green because of that, especially after northeastern. They don't like that. So not only don't they belong into the dunes, but also they really suffer. I mean, they suffer, so they're not made for that. So that was a major learning, and I think that's something that we should also mention, because sea grapes are so popular, and even Boca Raton, wherever they plant these sea grapes, and it's shocking. So that was a major learning for me. And then one point I mentioned, it was one resident who's always very active in this town. He came and he was talking about the beach rakers. And I mean, you know, he's quite extreme, but I think a lot of his points were very good points. That, you know, like, for example, the seaweed is good, needs to be mixed, which is a good thing. But that the tire rots create ways too deep rots and holes and basically are a problem for the sand to create a dune, because they prevent the sand from blowing further back. So that was a good kind of observation, and also Douglas Mann seemed at least to agree with this. Another issue was the trash burying. Obviously, there we don't even have to discuss. That's a clear violation, and I since then took pictures as evidence. Sending it to these companies hasn't made a difference. They don't even reply. I think they just disregard what residents think. So really, the question was, and I brought this up to the attention of Town Planner Allen, what we can do, whether we could, for example, get Douglas Mann and his company involved in a quick survey, whether our tractors or these beach rakers are actually in compliance with the law. I personally think they're violating it on multiple levels. And sure.
Does anybody have an account with them? Do you pay?
Yes, we pay them, and we're not happy.
Okay, so I have a personal relationship with my guy, because I've been there 28 years.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe if I can give him a call.
Can you turn on your microphone, please?
My green.
Which
Right.
company are you using? There's only two companies.
Yeah, there's oh my God, I write the check to them every week. What company do you
Beach
have?
Raker, Beach Rakers.
Beach
Beach
Rakers,
Rakers
yeah.
is not it. It's the other one.
Okay.
Yeah, he's been around forever. Why can't I think of the name of it? I'm sorry, I just had a flood in my house from my toilet, so that's why I'm late.
I'm sorry.
I just left the plumber there. So anyway, I'm sorry. I'm like this because the water was just gushing and I just was, anyway, sorry. What's the other one's name?
Universal.
Universal, thank you. Yeah, all I could think of is the plumber's name. So, yeah, I mean, if maybe I could give him a call and discuss, you know, because I think it's a problem that they just run over the garbage and bury it. It's definitely a problem.
I think that would be great, because if you have that contact, and the question is, would the town of Highland Beach agree that we as a advisory team can reach out to those companies and just have a meeting, just have a coffee, meet in a Starbucks, and just have a human discussion and say, look, when you drive over the beach, we understand you have to do your job, but can you at least pick up the trash? I mean, we have, after those storms before Christmas or Hanukkah, like end of December, there were big pieces all literally in the dunes, big plastic pieces.
Oh, yeah, I pull them out all the time.
And they didn't even pick it up. And I have multiple pictures as evidence with their tire rods. I have videos. And I can obviously, during a meeting, show them that and say, well, why do you do that?
You have pictures, good.
Yeah.
'Cause I
Not
basically
many,
just
because
clean it up.
often I walk and I see it too late. I don't catch them in the action, but yeah, over the years, I've got plenty of evidence. So it's just, and it's so.
So if we could just plan some kind of meeting with them.
How do we do that?
Well,
I'll be
that's a
happy to
question.
address that. So I have some information here. Again, you're supposed to be speaking about the November 12th event and the Mingle Jingle. I know you all wanted to discuss beach raking, but that was supposed to be on your next scheduled
Okay,
meeting, not
very
on
good
this
point.
special meeting.
Okay,
The agenda is specific for the items, that you all requested for this particular meeting.
so that
But-
is great. So
But
then,
since it's brought up, I'll be just happy that the town had discussions about beach raking back in 2021. This is all available on the town website. You can go to the town commission meetings from 2021. You can see all the minutes. So the commission had both beach rakers here at the town hall, at the chambers, and they had a long discussion about everything going on the beach. There really wasn't too much, and these are all available on the town website. You had Mr. Clayton Peart here of Universal Beach Services and Mr. Chip Jones. They made their presentations. And again, you can go through the minutes to discuss all that. The commission really didn't give any direction to staff because, again, these are private agreements between the property owners and the beach
Correct.
raking companies. So what the town, when people call and inquire about, beach raking, I always tell them, if you see anything, again, take those pictures and report it directly to the beach raking companies and let them know, hey, there's an issue here, something's being buried, it shouldn't be buried. And also you could reach out to the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. And I have the contact person. If you want to reach out to me, I can give you that contact. Let them know that if you feel that they're not in compliance with the permit, you have to let FDP know because they're the ones that issue the permit.
Okay.
So you can also let them know and let the companies know. But as far as a board meeting with them, like at a Starbucks, I mean, you can't do that. We have, the sunshine regulations. But I guess you could talk about that at your next meeting, how you wish to proceed. But I just wanted to let you know that for some of the newer board members, the commission has been talking about this or had talked about it in 2021, and there's a lot of history on it. So you can always go on the
website
web.
and look at it.
Yeah, look at the minutes
Okay.
from 2001 commission meeting. Let me give you the exact meeting date.
2001.
Yes. It was December 7th, 2021.
21, oh, okay.
What did I say?
2001.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was
like
the,
that.
it was the December 7th, 2021. Thank you for calling that out. December 7th, 2021 commission meeting. If you go to the town website under agendas, you'll be able to click on that meeting and you'll see the meeting minutes. So maybe you want to look at that, and then when you have your next meeting, which is coming up soon, you can, have a better discussion on what was previously discussed at those meetings. So
that's an
just wanted to
excellent,
make you-
excellent point. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And yeah, the Starbucks thought was more like you meeting with yours and I'm meeting with mine on a Starbucks level, on a private level. And then we already have like a nice conversation going, and it's not like a war zone. We want to work together. We just want to fix this. And then obviously it would be a meeting here, but we can discuss that at the February meeting. But that was a major takeaway that was addressed and discussed. So it is a big concern. And that was one of the takeaways from the November 12th event. That's why I brought it up. Right.
But for our next meeting, people could have private discussions with the rakers and bring any information, factual information about what they're doing or what they might be willing to do back to us when we have our next meeting.
Okay.
Right?
And you made a good point, whether it's possible to have another event during this season. The speaker would come for another hour, whether that's within the budget.
I'd have to discuss that with the town manager. Mr. Mann was paid to do that event. Obviously, they prepared that report. That was a separate scope of services, a separate agreement. And then we had a separate agreement for him to do the event. So if that's something you all want to do, I could ask the town manager if that can happen again.
I mean, I personally think it's a great idea because we want to get as many beachfront property owners know what to do as possible. Also, the event was in early November when it's not really the full season yet, but now we are in the full season. So if we could plan an event, say March is probably the latest we want to have it. End of February, March is usually high season. Maybe not during spring break because a lot of the families leave with their kids during spring break. So the second half of March is probably less good, just as a thought.
Do we know the cost for the presentation component of it by itself?
What Mr. Mann charged,
Yes.
if I remember correctly, I think it was $1,200.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, it's a budget decision. I mean, is that something you want to schedule with the commission and then we can discuss, or?
I could discuss it with the town manager
Okay.
and see
Was
what
it
his thoughts
1,200
are.
for his appearance, or was it for writing the report? Because he wouldn't have to write the report again. This is just a 2
Right,
hours.
that
No,
was
that's just for
right.
him coming. The
Just for
report is a
him
lot
coming.
more. Oh, yeah.
Okay,
That kind of report you don't do for $1,000.
okay.
That
Well,
was more the
all right.
actual report.
Yes.
okay.
Okay, great. So, any other learnings from that event that you wanted to share or discuss?
I mean, I was just very surprised how naive the people were to what was going on with the beach. I was shocked. You think when you live here, you know everything that's going on. So I think it was great that people came up and they were able to get a little more educated on the dune and the process. But people really, especially when you live in a building, I don't think you get it. You know, so I was really shocked that people didn't know how the dune was, you know, the beach, the dunes were deteriorating and all the erosion that was going on. They were kind of shocked, need I say, but I think it was a great thing to educate the public. So,
I had one comment. I think having 5 people show up, paying $1,200 is not cost effective. It seems like it's too much money. And it seems like before another event like this is held, that there should be much more outreach. Now, that could be tied into the bucketry and the garbage cans and whatnot and get people, you know, involved. But obviously there wasn't enough promoting and advertising to get a decent turnout.
Well, they
And
sent a
I would
letter.
suggest that we do a little more
Yeah,
homework.
they
and
sent a letter.
promote-
This
promote-
letter, yeah.
Yeah.
This
they
week's
sent a
letter.
letter.
If I may add, yes, there was a letter sent to every resident in the town of Highland Beach. And let me also correct, the amount, I actually pulled up the invoice. It was $1,695, not $1,200 for the consultant to do the workshop.
Well,
There was also email blast. There was notification on the town website as well. So
So what could we do to encourage and increase the turnout so that we really get a result? I mean, an adequate result.
To be honest, I think the town has done what they can do because there was an email blast. It was one of the bullet points in the email blasts, but the people who read it will come to that bullet point. So I think the only bumping it up would be to just send one email with just that topic. Do you live on the beach? Come to this event.
How about if we promote it? mean,
I have an idea to get a good showing, provide some food.
we did,
Well, on the
we did
time of
provide
day.
food.
The time of day.
Oh, yeah?
We did. We
Oh.
had hummus and olives,
Yeah,
like a
it was
Mediterranean
very-
platter. We had a fruit
very-
platter.
yes.
We actually put on the letter, refreshments will be served, because that typically gets people when they see refreshments. So we did have a nice spread of soft drinks, water. It was a nice, I thought it was a nice platter.
Maybe-
Yeah,
Combine it
that is nice.
With some wine tasting. People will come.
That's a good idea.
Say- Reference it as a buffet.
Or change the time, you know, do it during
It was
the
at
day.
7:00, right?
It was at night.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
But
mean,
people
we had
work.
good turnouts. Yeah, I know.
But people work or play golf or are busy during the day. Excuse me.
If people are tired at night, they don't want to go out at night.
Yeah.
do it
They're
on a
going out,
Saturday.
They're going to a restaurant, they're not going to.
I mean, you could do it on a Saturday when there's more people, you know, available, because people get home from work, they're tired, they don't want to, you know, get dressed and get back out. I mean, and you know, people during the day have, on the weekdays, have activities that they usually do. So, I mean, that's my only suggestion. We do it on a.
So maybe a weekend, but then that's a problem for the
Yeah.
town staff because they don't work on weekends.
Yeah, we need the AV.
That'd be a good idea because it also and maybe entice a family event, you know, bringing children as well.
But then the weekend would be difficult. I'm looking at the town,
Mm,
Mrs. Town Planner
Oh,
Allen,
yeah.
maybe can,
yeah.
How many people?
would that be
come to-
possible?
I mean, the town clerk's office, town staff offices are closed on the weekend.
Right,
Right.
yeah.
So
it's
you wouldn't
difficult.
have a
yeah.
town clerk available. Um,
And then
That'd be-
kids,
that'd be
how do you want to
difficult.
involve
Then
kids
that's
in this? It's a presentation, the kids will be
Um,
bored, I think,
well-
unless you do it outside.
Actually, for the meeting, you wouldn't need the town clerk's office, but we would need our IT. We do outsource our IT. I can talk to the town manager about it. But yeah, staff is, typically not working on the weekends. But I can ask him if that's how you wish to,
When is the next shredding day?
pardon?
Next one.
Anybody know? When the shredding day is? We have a day when the shredding, isn't that on a Saturday usually?
I have no idea. I don't know what you're speaking.
Jackie
It has
knows.
not been scheduled yet. When it is scheduled, we will send out information.
Pardon?
It's not been scheduled yet, but when we do have it scheduled, the town will send out an email blast. So
Okay,
we're
but-
not sure
but-
of the date yet.
Is that usually in spring?
Yes,
See, that's a day when everybody's around. And maybe if we don't want to pay $1,600 to have him there, we can have our information and we can staff.
What is the
Some
shredding
cake.
day? Sorry.
Shredding day, they bring a truck, you can bring all your
Your
shreddables and they dump it in this truck and it shreds them.
Truck.
Your papers, your
And it divides,
document
Instead of me
shredding.
doing it at home on my little.
Document
machine.
shredding.
You have-
So it's like a fun
Yeah.
day. They're there for 6 hours. Staff is there for 6 hours. People come. They. 4 hours? Okay, so they're there for 3 hours, right? And it's usually on a Saturday, I think.
but it's a drop and go where they come, they drive up, they don't even get out of their car.
Right.
Yeah, so then it probably wouldn't work. And Saturday, lots of families, they have plans. Kids have plans. Parents are driving around like crazy. I don't personally think even the staff, non-availability on the weekend and
Yeah.
then families being busy. I think
I don't know.
that's
Well,
why I
mean,
thought the
you could
evening is
Make it an
perfect.
event and they could plan it, you
Yeah.
make it an event and do it like, it's a happening,
Mhm.
that's what you'd have to do, Just like the party we had, not the party, but what we did at night.
The jingle, yeah.
It was an event.
Mhm.
People came out,
Mhm.
You have to do it on that scale, but.
Are there any events like that coming up for the town? That's similar to like what?
Do we have a spring fling or anything?
There's not.
Not that I'm aware of.
You have to wait
Not sure.
75 more years.
Yeah. I also wanted to add that November 12th event was also in the November Manager's Minute publication as well. So it was advertised quite well. I'm not sure of any future events. I not really kept abreast of anything at the moment. I've not been advised of any events to come, but
I mean, the only thought I have is maybe at 5 or 6 o'clock, a little earlier with the food. I mean,
Yeah.
it was great food. There was water there were drinks there. And then people can come after work, but they still have their dinner. So maybe that was the problem.
Like at 4 o'clock or something.
Yeah, 4 is too early for people who are working. 5, maybe 6.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just,
I don't know.
I'm just trying to,
and it probably also depends on the
If you
finance.
had food, you could do it at 6 and you'd probably get a bigger
Yeah.
turnout.
I have a couple of questions about some of the stuff that was raised by the expert from Apkin. And I'm saying it incorrectly. Do we have in the planning department lobby, do we have any information like his report? Is that out on display? Question 1. Question 2, any vendors who've done work on the do we have a list, not that the town is recommending it, but a list of the vendors? And if not, that was done. Reports like that were available up in West Bloomfield, where Marshall is from, and a list of vendors with a disclaimer on it. These are not recommended by, meaning they're not being promoted by Highland Beach, but people would have some information where they could go just by going to the planning office, because that's usually when people are starting to do things. So I would like information at our next meeting about that.
I can answer you. The Aptom report is available on your website, on your town page, the Natural Resource Board page. If you remember, we had a copy here at the town clerk's office, and we also had a copy at the library. So yeah, those are available on the Natural Resource page, always available. As far as vendors, right, staff, we typically don't provide a list of vendors, any type of vendor. We have people call us all the time, oh, we need a plumber. We don't give that information. You can always ask for a public records request for a particular address, and then you could see the permit and who the contractor was, but we typically don't provide it. I could discuss it with the town manager if he would like to do that. It's just that a lot of people that do the landscaping don't necessarily, it really depends on the project, may not trigger a permit. So, you have a landscaper at your home, they don't need a permit from the town to landscape your home. So let me also add that on your Natural Resource Preservation Advisory Board page, there's a link to a variety of Palm Beach County vendors that do landscaping specific on the ocean. So there's a list of those type of providers on your webpage through, I think it was, can't remember which of the links, but I could tell you at the next meeting, but that is available. Vendors that do specifically ocean type landscaping, dune type, not ocean type, dune vegetation type landscaping.
And that's
There's a
on
list.
Palm Beach, on our website
Yep,
through
there's a
Palm
link
Beach.
on your webpage.
So is there an issue with putting that in? Because most of the people are not super savvy with computers is what we're finding as I talk to people about the website and natural resources. I'm not saying we don't want to try to promote it,
Yeah.
but to have a display that if your building is thinking about, even to have some basic information that someone could pick up. Because we went through a lot of these
Yeah.
at both Mingle Jingle and that night. And when I showed people in paper what was available, they were very happy.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't want to get into a thing where we're doing everything for people, but to try to facilitate in some way, a way that they can look at something, touch something, even if it's the Palm Beach list, that would be fine. Because people just don't know what to do and they want that information.
Yeah.
And we're
majority is
trying to
not tech
figure out how to
savvy.
get information
Yeah.
out, so.
Yeah. I've been with the town 5 years. I don't recall anyone coming to the building department or calling me, maybe 1 or 2, 3 calls about a vendor, but we could put something together based on what you already have on the webpage. We could print that out. And we could leave a few of those copies at the building department counter. And therefore, we have our admin staff there. They're dealing with the public. They'll usually call me if there's anything about,
Okay.
any type of planning issue or concern or question. But I could print those that are already, again, on your webpage and have those available. It's just, I've never had any of the ladies up front, again, our admin staff, come and ask me, someone's inquiring. Again, you may have people calling you and that's fine, but we could put something, we could, again, just print out what's already on your site and have it available at our building department counter. Sure.
What about also maybe something that's like a professional trifold, trifold brochure kind of piece of material? It's easier for somebody to grab and carry rather than a sheet of paper or a whole group of paper. May have the scanning, the scan links, and maybe just some base summary information to get people engaged, to get them, some things that will get their minds going about what we're doing.
What their buildings are doing.
Yeah.
What I would recommend to the board, again, I would recommend that you all look at your webpage. There's many, many links. Maybe you could discuss at your next meeting what links from that page you would like to possibly have printed out and available for residents.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So I would have you look
I
at
think
what you already have on your site. And again, if you want to put a little folder together, again, I'll discuss all this with the town manager. We could have some of those folders available at the building department, at the counter. Anyone who inquires, they'd be given the folder, and you all can determine what you wish to have in that folder. That might be a good way to tackle. There's a lot of information on there, so.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it's a great idea because there's a lot of great information that people
And we
don't know how to
could go,
get to.
we can go
you
through
know,
that in
so-
advance.
One thing that I think we could do as a board, which would take some effort, is to actually promote this individually.
Of course.
Say, and let's say we commit to bringing 3 people to the next, instead of just, so if every one of us brought 3 people, and maybe it'll be more than that, and then if we're contacting the condos about the bucketry and the garbage cans and whatnot, we can ask them if they're interested in the material, if they would pass it out. I mean, we could probably get 30, 40, 50 people at this, or more, at this thing, if we really make an effort. But if we all sort of like, we'll print something up and put it here or send an email, it's not gonna happen. I mean, I think it would take a little bit of effort. I mean, I know I could drag 3 people from our condo. I mean, one's my wife, but I could probably drag a
That's not
couple.
fair.
But
But that's a good idea. Like, we should all be committed to bring at least 5 people, I mean, that's a great idea,
okay.
And let's look at the materials. A lot of them are very lengthy. They're not really suitable for printing because they're 40 pages,
Oh,
but
yeah.
maybe we can summarize them.
But to have a brochure that had either the link or a QR code for it,
Yeah,
that, I think that, I'm
Yes.
thinking about what I used to encounter at the Department of
Yes.
Environmental in
yes,
our town.
Yeah.
And
okay,
people, because people
Yeah.
need information and I guess people are getting used to QR codes.
Yeah.
And then put the link down there, and then we just select at our next meeting, what we think are the most pertinent ones, not all of them, but like the top 3 would
Yeah.
be nice.
And give them a little information on that and
Yes.
make them want to.
Yes,
hit
so if
the QR
if
code to
we
get
each
more.
pick one,
Right.
You have to
then
give them a little.
summarize why we picked it.
Yeah.
And do it on like a glossy, heavy stock paper, so it's not just flimsy looking. It looks like it's, very professional.
that's a cost question, but
Yeah, we could figure it out. And you also, like, you could put all the important numbers on there too, like, the police, and just make it be
English.
like a little Bible that they keep, in their drawer, and they can go to it and they could, look at the link for the town,
Well, they have, there's so much information they do send out. So
Yeah, but people, if
this
this
is
was
for
a little
people-
pamphlet of just
Yeah.
to know what goes on, just give them like pertinent information and make them want to go deeper by, clicking on that link.
You know what get their attention? You say this is important to protect your property from hurricanes. 'Cause
Yeah, but
people are if these dunes will help us. with
Right.
The hurricane, now maybe this is important. It's not just, that people are cutting the sea grapes down to like 2 feet or something. And from what I understand, there's like 6 feet is
No,
proposed height is the optimum height. And they just, because they don't want their view blocked, they may not even block your view very much, but they don't know. And they put their chairs on top of the sea grape and on the plants on the beach, because they don't know that these plants will help in the case of a hurricane. But if they have a self-interest in protecting their beautiful properties from the big storms, I think they might have a self-serving interest, which will get them more involved.
so the sea grapes, this is out of topic, but just for your information, they don't give any stability. And if they're being cut down to 2 feet, that's because these dunes they're planting other plants. And so they cut them
Right.
down so others can grow. the sea grapes are not protecting us at all. So
No.
we actually cut them to 2 feet and something,
So
which
do
was on our
we.
permit. And now we planted a lot of native trees in between and we keep cutting it back so it grows. And we're actually slowly getting rid of the sea grapes.
So the
But that is,
secrets are not useful?
oh gosh, no, that they're horrible.
Really?
Yeah, that's why if you come to the event, he talked about it. On the event, he talked about that. But yeah,
And it's
people don't know
recorded.
that.
Yeah,
And
you
that's,
can watch his presentation online, which was
Yes.
very good.
It's very
I
good.
highly recommend
How do
it.
we do that?
You go to the website, you go to natural resources. And is it linked, Ingrid, through natural resources, his presentation? So,
But you can go, let me go.
but dune restoration and preservation would be the focus of this. This is what we're trying to do with a trifold. And
but that's a
and
great
really
point.
focus on that this is some information you and your condo and your building.
So that's a
can
great
do.
point. Maybe we should have that link. If it's not on our website, there should be a link on our website to the presentation of that meeting.
I'll continue discussion once I find out.
But I think that's, Ingrid, I think your idea was excellent to try to, instead of focusing so much on having different pieces of paper, let's link some things in a brochure. Your idea to put it in a trifold and have that available so that we have some information they can take with them, go home and talk about it.
So that's added as an agenda item for the next meeting and we can all think
Yes.
of what is
I
the
agree.
what could be the right materials or how could we put something together. I think that's great.
I'm sorry if I'm the interject, Chair. Yes, that meeting 11/12 is on your board webpage.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. That's great. So in terms of November 12 event, have we covered everything? Because then we can move to other dune restoration events as a subtopic of the agenda item for today. Great. So regarding other dune restoration events, so unfortunately, Penthouse Towers, they are under renovation. They're doing concrete restoration. So they, for at least probably 2 years, they will not have parking and they will not be able to host any dune restoration events for the time being. Also, there was a management change. So the new manager, obviously, once the restoration is over, I can be in touch with the new manager and ask if he or she, I don't even know, has an interest in following up on their great tradition. They have an amazing dunes. I think it should be successful, but for now they have their hands tied with concrete restoration and don't have parking. That leads me to Parker Highland. That's our own building. We are currently restoring our dunes and it's doing really well. I think we can host an amazing event. It still would have to go through the board. But we're also undergoing concrete restoration and we have huge parking issues and traffic issues. So I would say our building is definitely a no-go for another year, which is sad because by then the plants will have grown and they see the end result. I would have preferred to do an early meeting showing this is how we start and this is how we end. So now we probably will just be able to host one event and how we end. And it would be the same format. The only problem our manager has informed me is that she wouldn't know how to organize parking because we're not a big building. We only have 26 boutique units and literally parking is very restricted. Even after concrete restoration, we might have 3 or 4 empty spaces. And on bad days, you have 0 parking. And on good days, you have maybe 7 parking spaces. So we would have to discuss whether there's an option for this event that people could take a bus from here or I don't know. That is a big problem that we have. Penthouse Towers did have parking, so.
That's an issue. I mean, walk or we can get a trolley or, we'd have to get a trolley and get some kind of.
And it increases the costs, yeah.
Yes.
And then I'm not sure if there's a trolley, they have to wait. I'm not sure if people come.
Yeah, that's,
Yes.
doesn't.
That is the
Yes,
problem.
there's no, you'd have to find another place for parking. That's the bottom line because
Or
you
do
can't
it at
get
the
people
light.
there.
Yeah, but if we had pictures like this, this is one, take another picture now, take another picture in the
Oh, no,
fall.
I have
and-
lots of
and
pictures.
Do it at the library. It's another possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're gonna do.
So, but that's just, so that's in a year. So just for your information, obviously it has to go through the board and I'm
Yeah.
part of the board, so I'm pretty sure I will get that through. So I also got through the dune restoration, which was not an easy task, so.
No,
Um,
definitely is not.
We could do it at Mingle Jingle next year, plan now to be part of that again and have pictures and information to give to people. We did get a lot of questions at Mingle Jingle.
So in the absence of those two buildings being available, I think we should probably discuss how we approach all the big condos and whether we cold call them, and if that's something we can do outside of these meetings, just call all the bigger condos, whether they would be willing to host a dune event. Obviously, they would have to take care of their dunes. What is it called? The Delray Sands, they have a nice dune. The
They do?
hotel does a good job, but I think they have
Yeah, they do.
scavola in it and some Brazilian pepper.
Yeah, they do have Scavola. you're talking-
Right?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
have.
they do have some of that in there. The thing is, I mean, to tear that out, like, all of a sudden it grows randomly. Now, if you've noticed, my whole dune was sea oats, the whole dune. All of a sudden there's Scavola growing in the middle of it because the seeds blow or something.
Yes,
from-
that's the
yes.
problem.
So, for the hotel, I don't think that's a problem. That just happens. So.
But coming back
people
to the
to see.
event, I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
so
they're willing, because
maybe
they're
they're willing to
proud
do
of their
that.
dune. They have the scavola issue, and we could also tell them, because they might be grateful, because it literally is taking over, and it's sad. Every time
Yeah.
I go for lunch there, I see more scavola and more
Yeah.
Brazilian pepper and less of the native plants. So they might even be grateful that we inform them, look, this is what's happening. And are you willing to host the dunes event?
I mean, it'd be great promotion for them, to host an event like that, people that don't know about them and things like that. I mean, and maybe they would host an event. I mean, probably in the off season, like towards the end of the season, because they're so busy right now. I mean, and we get, residents that were here. I think they'd be willing to do it, and they have plenty of parking.
So shall I take as an action item that I call them and find out?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Any other bigger buildings? Toscana doesn't have a really nice dune, that have a good dune to present.
When you're walking, what do you see?
Any
Up there,
role
up
model
that
dunes
way.
other than your own?
I know.
We could do an event at your place.
We can, there's no parking.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
I thought of that when you were talking. I mean, we have 10 spots and there's 4 residents, so. There's nowhere to park.
Well, I could check with we're the townhouses. And we have probably 10 parking places.
But you have a nice dune to present, because if you have it has to be a role model dune that we can
I
talk
wouldn't
about.
say it's role model. I mean, it's Seagrape, and you say Seagrape isn't good, so.
Yeah, but maybe it's a good one to show how not to do it.
Not the-
Not to?
not the plan.
Well, or you can have panic grass grow in there, which also
We
is
do
a
have
very,
we have some grass. I've been moving the chairs away from the grass
Yeah.
because for
Yes.
a while they had them right, people walking on the grass and whatever, so I've moved them further back. When that tide gets really high, I get a little nervous because I'm afraid they're gonna get washed away. 'cause
Where are you? I'm trying to think. What's the name of the development?
Townhouse with Highland Beach, we're the condo to the north on the ocean, the furthest on the ocean next to, and there's a.
Are you past the Delray Sands? Or
Yeah.
before?
Yes.
Yes,
we're
okay, so
about
now I know where you are.
2
Okay.
blocks north of there. Carol's lives next door. She put her house up for sale. her mansion up for sale. But she
Townhouses,
Mm,
okay.
Carroll Park, but anyway, so we have all this nice sea grape. I thought it was nice because it's all kinds of birds and animals and squirrels and you name it, and cats and dogs and.
I mean, they are nice. You can cut them, down
And
to
they-
2 feet. But you can have panic grass in between and you can cut that too. And that has the long roots, the
Right.
30-inch roots.
Now the roots is what keeps that's what keeps the
Yes,
pitch in
exactly.
place.
Yep.
But does it really protect during the hurricane? Or
Yes,
is that just a myth?
no, it protects.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's
it
actually a
protects, I can
picture
tell you.
And
that
it
was taken
accumulates-
showing the roots, the sand's gone, and there's a sea oats and panic
There.
grass, and the roots are all you see, and it held all that sand in.
And I can show you at our own property where there's sea oats. It's a big hill and then it goes all the way back where the sea grapes and it's all eroded over the last 10 years. It's pretty bad. And now we're adding sea oats and where we've added it, it's already piling up. Like the residents could not believe it. There are some of my biggest enemies are now my best friends because they're seeing the difference within 1 year. And they were so loudly saying, why are we cutting everything back? Why is this so brown and ugly and so forth? And now they're
Because it does
seeing,
look bad in the beginning.
it
does
looks
really
very
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
If you go by our property right now, our building, it looks very bad. And we have all these orange flags because we need to know where to water. Because now it's a big construction site and we need to know where to go. And I hand water every 3 nights. I go and water my little babies. It's a lot of work, but it's paying back. Great. So talking about events, so we talked about the condos. I think what would be great homework for all of us is who do we know? Do we have a plan for contacting condos for events? But they need to have a presentable dune.
Is there a directory of condos, with phone numbers? A directory? You think?
No, it's on Google Maps. You just go on Google Maps and you click and then you just call
Best
them.
thing to do is walk up the beach and see who has got a great dune and say, hey, this is, Parker Highlands. Yeah, this is,
Who do you
like,
say-
I don't even
Yeah.
know where your place is. and So I'm gonna go walk up there and
Yeah.
see, I mean,
Who are you gonna say that to?
what, what do you mean? You get the name of the condo, you walk by, if the dune is great, and you contact them.
You call them. Just
Yeah.
click on Google Maps. Yep.
You just speak to the manager or the president,
Google Maps have the phone numbers?
Yeah, you just click. Just on the name, you click. I can
Yeah.
show you
Oh,
after
cool.
this meeting. But yeah, that's a good reason to do long hourly dog walks on the beach
Yeah.
with the dog on the leash.
Yes.
Great. So I think we have our homework now in this great weather. Let's do long beach walks and maybe come up with a
Absolutely.
list of properties for the next meeting that we could address. The next topic is under the same big topic of events is the president of Highland Beach meetings of all the presidents. John Shoemaker, who is kind of the leading person behind this great initiative, he has sent an email around what people want to talk about. Of course, my recommendation is always dunes and beach protection. I didn't win again. All sorts of topics come up like concrete restoration, all the reserves, source studies and so forth. So people are really not worried, but really interested and into the topics of concrete restoration, all the new reserves requirements with the new Florida or now 2-year-old Florida state law. So basically, the focus of the condos is really not on the dunes, which is sad. So we need to raise more awareness. I keep trying to influence that group. Unfortunately, whenever they meet, I have a really bad clash. So I sent somebody from my condo for my board. But so far, I have not managed to get it on the agenda. And John really, it's like a democracy. He takes the topics that most people want to talk about. And so far, the beach restoration, the dune restoration has not won as a topic.
So I'm really sorry, but I don't even know about these meetings. I mean, we're a small fourplex and I don't even know about the
Oh, no,
precedence of the building.
this is just for the big buildings. And
Okay.
we made it, we are a small
Gotcha.
building and I actually don't even know how we got into that
Okay,
circle.
because I didn't even know.
What about the other group, the one that's Boca Highland Beach?
They're part of it, yeah.
They're part of
The,
that
the
group?
Boca, yeah, the Boca, what is it called? Boca Beach.
It's Boca.
They're
Highland
part of
Beach.
it. They attend those meetings, some of the presidents.
But she does her own meeting.
Oh, yeah, she has a meeting for all of her towers and then they have some of these presidents, if they can, they attend the other meeting too.
Yeah, so I mean, we can get it, maybe get it on her agenda.
That's the Boca Beach Club.
No, not the Boca Beach Club. This is, she has an association of condos.
Who,
Jill, I'm trying to think. I think
I
her
don't
name-
know, we're not talking about the same. Anyway,
Okay. It's another association that is the one that has been representing Highland Beach and Boca on the beach issues.
Is that the Sea Ranch one?
No, it's not affiliated with the building. It's just
Oh,
an
okay, sorry.
association.
oh, it's an association. Okay.
Mhm. It's an umbrella.
Oh,
It's an
great.
umbrella association. Yeah,
For all the buildings?
for Highland Beach and she has a lot of members. I'm
Oh,
trying to,
wow.
she came to Mingle Jingle. I don't know that she had a table, but,
Maybe speak to her and then we raise it at the next meeting,
okay.
what we could do.
I can do that.
Because it does not have to be via that president club, presidency group.
Did we ever get a hold of, you were gonna get a hold of the gentleman from Sea Ranch that his wife was the president? Do you remember? He was there and he wanted to restore the dune there at Sea Ranch at the club. You had taken his information, not.
Oh, it wasn't me, no.
No, yeah, you did, Barbara, because you came up at the end of the conversation. And he said, I really want to do something and my wife is on the board here.
But that's in Boca, right? That's in Boca.
Is it in both?
Yeah.
I don't know, but we were gonna reach out to him. And let me see if I have any information, but it was, you took his card.
Just trying to remember, because I had so many conversations.
I know, but this man was generally like, he wanted to get something done there at their building, on the beach, because
And
they're
that was,
losing
which
so much
building was
beach.
that?
That's Sea Ranch, they have the big,
The
right
Sea Ranch
at the-
Club, yes.
yes.
Okay. So let me go back, because I have a whole,
Yeah.
all these cards. I have,
Yeah, you might, yeah. He was
Sea
he was
Ranch Club.
very into it. And then his wife came over and she said, I'm vice president on the board and yeah, we'd like to get a meeting together.
okay, perfect.
Yeah,
So
so-
let me definitely reach out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, so that's probably something also to think about for the next meeting if we
Yeah.
have, if anybody has connections. So this is that's a great point. I'll follow up and I'll report in the next meeting. And then the last point, I think, as for today's agenda would be the December 5 Mingle Jingle event. I think we touched it multiple times, that we had great interactions. Chris, you were mainly at the table. Do you want to summarize your interactions that you had?
At Mingle Jingle.
Yeah.
I did bring the dune restoration, the report. I brought a couple of copies of that. Both of those 2 or 3 went. I brought several copies of the last one we did at Penthouse Towers, and all 5 of those went. And I showed people these pictures, which are new sea yachts, and then how it held the dune when they had a big sea surge, and all around sea yachts it held, but not behind them where they weren't planted. And then it held where they were planted. So people were very interested in that. And it was just I'd say we probably between us, we talked to 20 people,
Yeah.
maybe.
And I'm sorry, I walked in late. So that was the event I was talking about when I walked in, that I was shocked that people were so not knowledgeable about the
Yeah.
sea oats and the planting. So, because we talked to a lot of people that day and I brought pictures also of my property
Yes. and
You
that
had
was a
just
big-
laminated and much nicer, but yeah, they were very, that's what I was talking about when I walked in, so I was a little scattered. Yeah, they were amazed at what the dunes looked like before and after when we showed them, and they really didn't have any knowledge of invasive plants, what to plant, how to protect their dunes. So I think we hopefully gave some knowledge to maybe a dozen people that didn't have a grip on it at all. So we did talk to about 20, maybe a little more, but
The
Yeah,
main point is I can only support what you said. I had the same conclusions, and the main conclusion was when people know that it's really not that expensive, that all you need to do is plant sea oats. You can actually do it yourself. You don't even need an expert. You can order them online and you can plant them.
yeah, get that little machine, which is not a lot of
It's
money.
literally
Go over
so easy. I planted probably just on Sunday, probably 50 of them in like 3 hours.
there. Great.
Yes. So, I mean, obviously I didn't do a great job because you really have to dig deep and I can't do that. So I took the areas where it's easier, like the flatter areas where there's less root work. So our landscaper delegates me the easy areas and literally it's very quick. You can do it yourself. And you don't have to be a landscaper. And each plant is $1.50. And then after a year, they grow like you see in the picture. This picture is after a year or less than a year.
Well, I'm just thinking there is a property we might be able to use at Ocean Place Estates. Do you know Denise's property? That the sea oats were like this big when they planted them about a year ago now, and now they're like this. I mean,
Yes.
that could be a great example property.
Yes,
I
so
could
maybe
talk
you-
to her.
Yeah, maybe reach out.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I kept saying, oh my God, her plants are way too small, but they shot up.
You just need to water them the first couple of weeks. You need
Yes,
to water
I
them. And
did it. I
then-
stood on the dune by hand and did all the
Yes,
plants.
and I do that too. And you
Oh,
can't
They
sprinkle
live at
them.
Ocean Place Estates. I don't know, there's not much parking there either. Oh. But
Chair, if I may, I did print out a copy of the January, February Manager's Monthly, the photograph that you sent me that you took at the Mingle Jingles in here. So I'll just route this for you. I tagged the page where the Mingle Jingle photograph is.
Oh,
So if you
Great,
could pass
thank you
that.
so much.
Yes.
thanks.
That was a great picture. Any other
This is sitting on my
comments
counter and I didn't.
or ideas regarding the
God.
Mingle Jingle event we had?
We did hit more people at that event than we did at the.
Yes.
presentation. So if you're looking at
Like we're all
volume,
going
that's
sideways.
something we could probably.
Yeah, I think
plan for.
my conclusion is to, if there's any city event with food and wine, we piggyback on that. I think, like, as
Weird,
we've
it's
done
all going
before,
like to
this is the most
slant. I don't know.
successful way to do it.
Integration was all. Everybody looks.
Yes.
It is.
Spread.
It's one-on-one, next year we could.
Thank you.
Oops. Next year we could staff it with all of plan on everybody to be there and just staff it and walk out. I mean, we walked away from the table because people were looking, what is that? What is it? And we can't, go out with a picture and show them. Pictures speak a lot to people.
So knowing,
Cost.
exactly, knowing that alcohol and food attracts people
Always.
has always been since the Roman
Always.
Empire. And sea grapes are grapes. They just don't make wine. Why don't we make almost like a little joke and say sea grapes and grapes, wine tasting, and we find a company that's willing to do a wine tasting event.
Jelly. Secrets.
Right, maybe,
Yeah,
but so we could do a wine tasting event, which is basically for a wine company to sell their wine. So they're making their business. It doesn't cost the city any money. The city would offer their property, say the little parking area, or we could go to the church or whatever. We could figure it out, or use the library. And so it's a wine tasting, but it's also sea grape dunes learning, and then we could do our dunes
They
education
do
there.
actually make some wines out of sea grapes, if you can believe that. Because I knew somebody who's trying to make a seltzer water and they were trying to use native plants of Florida, and they do use sea grape to make some wine, they found out.
So perfect.
So it is, it's a great thought by you. That's great.
I mean, it's
putting it
just to
together.
get people here, then we would have the wonderful baskets that town planner Alan has
And
put
it's
together. They're
so
healthy.
funny, and I hope I have her card, because there was a woman that did wine tastings that came up to the table. I gotta remember who she was with. But that's hysterical. But she did small parties. But also, maybe you can get a hold of one of these big wine distributors.
So
I'll
question
ask
is,
my
would that
nephew,
be
'cause he's-
something
yeah,
adequate that the
yeah.
town would support? Because before you reach out to wine tasting companies,
Yeah.
is that something that the town would support to get more people come?
I will discuss it with the town manager. See what his
Sounds
thoughts
nice.
are.
Did they like a wine tasting?
See what his thoughts are. He gives you authority to use the property, or maybe he'd want to take it to the commissioner. I don't know. I've
'Cause it
taken
could be a
notes that you
win-win.
want to do it, and I will discuss it with him. And at
I
your
don't
next
know.
meeting, I will provide you a follow-up.
I just
That's
think-
great, because it could be a win-win, but basically for the wine tasting company, it's selling wine to wealthy residents. For the city, it's, being recognized as an amazing city and it's kind of
I think
advertising.
if it's in conjunction with something else, it's cool, but if it's just one company or something like that, it might be a problem,
Does
just
the
because
city allow
it looks like we're
alcohol in
promoting.
drinking?
Yeah, of course.
Yes. we drank-
Well, we had alcohol at the
At the
Mingle
church
Jingle.
property.
Yeah.
The church, yeah, that's.
Um, But then again, we also had trolleys able to transport people.
Right.
So
so they're
I
not-
think that's something you
not
want to
gonna-
be mindful of. If you're going to have a wine tasting event that you
Somebody
offer.
walks out and, yeah.
I just don't know.
Marijuana, the legalization, they have bring a few joints along and, they can just demonstrate what they look like without actually, unless someone has a
They got
badge.
nothing to do with sea grapes.
No.
Wines and grapes are all.
I was thinking about the COs, we could have COs.
But I think it's great if town planner Alan just discusses it with the town manager.
Yeah.
What would be the possible legal options
Just get a
also?
little feedback. Yeah.
So those were actually the ideas that I wanted to touch. Anything else that you wanted to discuss as under this agenda item of June events and follow-ups?
We have homework, which is to go on the website and each of us bring a couple of the links we would want to put in a brochure for our next meeting. Right?
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yes, and the other homework is thinking about condos, good condos.
Contact, yeah, condo,
That
we can have an
could-
event.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll ask my realtor, she may have a list of, because they sell all these properties and they know a lot of the managers, and see if she has a directory.
Yeah, we just want the bigger ones that have parking.
One she has a relationship with.
Yes.
that would be
Okay,
better.
okay, I'll ask her.
How do we figure out which are the big condos? Which are the big condos?
Oh, no, the good ones, like you want to go on the beach and see what has a good.
Seagate. And I'd be,
You just
But
look
they
on
don't-
Google
they don't
Map.
have-
You literally
they're
go
not
on
on the-
Google Map and then the big ones you click.
Yeah, Seagate doesn't have property on the beach.
they just have a walkover.
That's it, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
We could do an event there. We could
We could do
educate.
an event there. I know someone that lives there, so
Where?
Seagate.
Mhm.
Great, so we have
Good.
our homework.
Okay.
So then we come to the announcements, agenda item 7, February 5, that's soon at 11 o'clock. We have our Natural Resources Preservation Board regular meeting. So that's very soon. And we have homework, so hopefully we can get the homework done because I see that's shockingly close.
So it's on the
Um,
5th.
No, it's on the 5th, but that's in a week from now. That's literally in a week, yeah.
February. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm in the
Next
wrong
week.
month. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'd gotten a note about that and
we
put
can
it
do
in.
that.
and I didn't. Thank you.
so yeah, it's on February 5 at 11 o'clock. So adjournment, the meeting is adjourned at 12:10.